This is a
October
restricted
24th,
area. Surrender
1962.
immediately. I have
Fort Drum,
authorization.
upstate New
Invalid.
York.
Hands up.
One
No!
Russian, one sergeant.
Run! Don't stop!
72 hours
I can't!
before World War
You
III
have to!
starts.
Move!
I'm Dominic Vaughn. This is how I became
How's
a
the
traitor
foot?
to prevent
It's
Armageddon.
bad, but I'll manage.
The snow came early that
We
year.
can't stay
By
here
mid-October,
long.
the
I know.
Adirondacks were white like a funeral shroud. The wind off Lake Ontario cut through wool like it was paper. At Fort Drum, we stamped our
Thank you
feet
for your
and watched
service.
the sky
It
waiting
means a
for
lot to
Soviet
hear that.
bombers
It's a
that
beautiful day for
intelligence
this.
said were already
It
in the
is.
air.
It is.
They weren't coming. Not yet. But something else was. I was in the NCO club when the call came through. Thursday afternoon, 1600 hours. The place smelled like coffee that had been burning since 0600 and cigarettes that never stopped. A radio in the corner played news about Cuba. Kennedy's voice measured and careful, talking about quarantine and consequences. Nobody called it what it was. A countdown. The phone behind the bar rang. Once. Twice. Sergeant Miller answered it, listened, then looked straight at me. Vaughn, you're wanted at the main gate, now. I set down my coffee, still half full, still hot. I remember that detail because I never got to finish it. Small things stick with you when everything else goes sideways. What for? Miller shrugged. His face had that careful blank look NCOs get when officers are listening. Didn't say, just said you specifically. By name. That was the first wrong note. Nobody at Fort Drum knew my name except my unit. I was intelligence liaison, sure, but I was supposed to be invisible. That was the job. Process reports, file paperwork, keep your head down and your mouth shut. Getting called by name meant something had already gone wrong. I grabbed my coat and headed out. The cold hit like a fist. Snow whipped across the parade ground in horizontal sheets. Visibility maybe 50 yards. The kind of weather that made you believe the world was ending. Maybe it was. The main gate was a 10-minute walk. I did it in 7. My boots crunched on fresh snow over old ice. The sound was too loud in the white silence. Guard towers rose like dark fingers against the gray sky. Spotlights swept the fence line, looking for what Russians parachuting in. The whole base felt wound tight, coiled, ready to snap. At the gate, I found 3 MP Jeeps with their engines running. Exhaust plumed white in the cold. 6 military police stood in a loose semicircle, weapons drawn, but pointed at the ground. They were surrounding one man. He stood with his hands raised, empty palms facing forward. No coat, just a thin gray suit that looked European. Expensive once maybe, but worn thin now. His shoes were wrong for the weather. Leather dress shoes already soaked through. He was shivering, not from fear, from cold. I knew the difference. Korea taught me that. The man was young, late 20s, maybe 30, Slavic features, high cheekbones, deep-set eyes that tracked everything without moving his head. Dark hair plastered to his skull by melting snow. He looked at me and something in his face changed. Recognition. That was the second wrong note. I'd never seen this man before in my life. Captain Fredericks, the MP commander, stepped forward. His hand rested on his sidearm. Vaughn, this individual walked up to the gate 40 minutes ago. Surrendered. Says he'll only talk to you. By name. Staff Sergeant Dominic Vaughn, Army Intelligence, serial number R194733628. My serial number, the one only my command and the Pentagon had. The man spoke. His English was good, accented but clear. Sergeant Vaughn, my name is Alexei Volkov, Major GRU Soviet Military Intelligence. I wish to defect, and I will speak only to you. The world tilted. GRU Soviet Military Intelligence. That meant this wasn't some scared radar operator or embassy clerk jumping sides. This was a trained operative, someone who knew things, dangerous things, and he knew my name. Fredericks looked at me. You know this man? Never seen him before, sir. Then why? I researched you, Volkov interrupted. His voice was steady despite the shivering. Your record, Korea, chosen reservoir. You stayed behind with the wounded when your unit retreated. You were the last man out. You carried Corporal Dennis Harwell 6 miles through Chinese lines. He lived. You received the Bronze Star. I did receive it. Turned it down later, but that's another story. I researched further, Volkov continued. Your brother, Private First Class Anthony Vaughn, killed in action July 1953. Friendly fire incident. Command covered it up. You fought for 3 years to get the truth. You failed, but you fought. The cold wasn't the only thing making me numb now. Nobody talked about Tony, not on my record, not anywhere official. How do you? Because I am very good at my job, Sergeant, and my job was to know everything about key American personnel who might listen when I needed to talk. You are a man who values truth over convenience, honor over orders. That is why I will speak only to you. Frederick stepped between us. That's not how this works. We have protocols. You're going to Virafham. I have 72 hours, Volkov said. His eyes never left mine. 72 hours before they find me. KGBS Spetsnaz. They are already coming. I have information that will save millions of American lives, but I will not give it to your command structure. They will use it and then kill me to avoid political complications. That's ridiculous, Frederick said, but his voice wavered. Is it? Volkov smiled without humor. Your Colonel Beck is already being briefed. In 40 minutes, he will arrive. He will order me taken to a secure facility. Within 12 hours, I will have an accident. My body will never be found. The information I carry will be extracted, used, and then classified so deep that it might as well not exist. He turned back to me. I am betting my life, Sergeant Vaughn, that you are the man your record says you are, that you will do what is right even when ordered otherwise. Was I wrong? The MPS were looking at me now. Fredericks was looking at me. The whole weight of that gray October sky was looking at me. I should have said yes, should have followed protocol. Let the officers handle it, but I thought about Tony, about carrying Dennis Harwell through 6 miles of snow while Chinese bullets split the air, about standing in a Pentagon office while a full-bird colonel told me my brother's death was classified and I needed to let it go. I looked at Volkov, really looked. His hands were still raised, but they weren't shaking from fear. They were steady. This was a man who had made his choice and was living with it. Get him out of the cold, I said. He's no good to anyone frozen. Frederick started to object. I cut him off. Sir, if he's GRU, then he's got intel that's time-sensitive. We're in the middle of the biggest crisis since the war. If he freezes to death in the next 20 minutes because we're following protocol, that's on us. Get him warm, get him dry, then we follow procedure. It was just enough military logic wrapped around insubordination to work. Fredericks hesitated, then nodded. Interrogation room 3. You're responsible for him, Vaughn. Yes, sir. They put Volkov in one of the jeeps. I climbed in next to him. The heater was running full blast, but it barely cut the cold. We drove across the base in silence. He stared straight ahead. I watched him from the corner of my eye. Up close, I could see details. His suit had been tailored once, but he'd lost weight. The fabric hung loose at the shoulders. There were dark circles under his eyes. His hands, now resting on his knees, had calluses in the wrong places for a desk officer. These were shooter's hands. Why me? I asked quietly. He didn't look over. Because in the next 72 hours, I will need someone who understands that the right thing and the legal thing are not always the same. Your command structure does not understand this. You do. You could be a plant, a double. This could all be. It could be the bait. He agreed, but it is not, and you will know that within the next hour, when I show you what I have brought. The jeep stopped outside the headquarters building. They took us through the side entrance, down concrete stairs, into the basement. The hallway was narrow. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Our footsteps echoed. Interrogation room 3 was 8 by 10. Concrete walls painted institutional green. A metal table, 4 chairs, 1 bulb hanging from the ceiling, no windows. They sat Volkov down. An MP brought him a blanket and coffee. He wrapped the blanket around his shoulders but didn't touch the coffee. Smart. Never accept food or drink in an interrogation. First rule. Fredericks positioned 2 MPs outside the door. Then he looked at me. 30 minutes, Vaughn, until Colonel Beck arrives. Then this is out of your hands. Understood, sir. The door closed, locked from the outside. I sat down across from Volkov. The metal chair was cold even through my uniform. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "Thank you." For what? For not leaving me in the snow. Small mercies matter, especially at the end. This isn't the end. You just defected. That's the beginning. He smiled, sad and tired. You do not understand yet, but you will. I leaned forward. Then help me understand. You're GRU, Soviet military intelligence. You know classified details about American personnel. You walked into a U.S. Army base during the worst crisis since World War II, and you'll only talk to a random staff sergeant. Why? Because random staff sergeants do not have careers to protect. They have only their conscience, and yours, I think, is still intact. You think? I researched you thoroughly, Sergeant, but research only reveals actions, not motivations. I am betting on your motivations. That's a hell of a bet. Yes, he met my eyes. It is the only one I have left. The room was warming up. Steam rose from his wet clothes. He looked smaller now, less like a threat. Just a man who'd walked through snow in the wrong shoes. Tell me what you have, I said. Fredericks gave you 30 minutes. That's not much. Volkov reached slowly into his jacket. The MPs outside shifted. I held up a hand. Wait. He pulled out a small metal cylinder, about the size of a cigarette case. He set it on the table between us. Microfilm, he said. Coordinates, deployment schedules, target priorities. Everything your CIA thinks they know about Soviet nuclear capabilities in Cuba, and everything they do not know. My mouth went dry. How much don't we know? Enough to lose a war in the first hour. He opened the cylinder. Inside were 3 small rolls of film, each no bigger than my thumbnail. The first roll, he said, pointing, confirms what your U-2 reconnaissance has already discovered. Medium-range ballistic missiles, 9 sites. Your intelligence is correct. Okay. The second roll shows 5 additional sites your reconnaissance missed. Hardened bunkers, camouflaged against aerial photography. They are operational. They have been operational for 6 days. Jesus. The third roll, he paused. His hand trembled slightly. The third roll contains target coordinates. 18 American cities, New York, Washington, Chicago, Los Angeles. The others, population centers, military installations, infrastructure. The light bulb swung slightly. Someone walking overhead, the building settling. Small movements in a world that suddenly felt very fragile. Why are you telling me this? Because my daughter is 8 years old. She has leukemia. In the Soviet Union, she will die. The treatment she needs does not exist there. Not for families like mine. But here, his voice cracked. Here she has a chance. If I can bring her here, if I can make them understand that I am valuable, that I am worth saving, that she is worth saving. He wiped his eyes, not ashamed, just tired. I do not care about ideology, Sergeant Vaughn. I do not care about communism or capitalism. I care about my Katya, and if preventing a war saves her life, then I will prevent it, even if it makes me a traitor. The word hung in the air. Traitor. I'd be hearing it again soon. About myself. Footsteps in the hallway. Multiple sets. Moving fast. Volkov heard them too. His face went still. They are early, he said quietly. The door opened. Colonel Harlan Beck walked in like he owned the room. Maybe he did. Air Force intelligence. Tall, silver-haired uniform pressed sharp enough to cut. 2 men in civilian clothes followed him. No names, no introductions, just hard eyes and harder faces. CIA. Beck looked at Volkov, then at me. His expression was unreadable. Staff Sergeant Vaughn, you're dismissed. I didn't move. Sir, I was ordered to. You're dismissed. That's not a request. One of the CIA men stepped forward, picked up the metal cylinder, examined the microfilm. His face showed nothing. Sergeant, Beck said again. Colder now. I looked at Volkov. He was watching me. Not pleading, not afraid, just waiting to see what kind of man I was. I stood up slowly. Sir, this man surrendered to U.S. forces. He's entitled to nothing. He's an enemy combatant on American soil during a national emergency. We'll handle this from here. You're dismissed. The 2 MPs outside stepped in. Hands on weapons. I had maybe 3 seconds to decide, walk out, follow orders, let the system work, or I thought about Tony again, about the Pentagon office, about truth versus convenience. Sir, with respect, I'd like to stay. If this man has intelligence relevant to the current crisis, I should be debriefed as well. I've already heard part of his statement. Beck's jaw tightened. What did he tell you? Enough to know this is urgent. Then write a report. You're dismissed. The CIA man was examining the microfilm more closely now. Something in his face changed, just a flicker. But I saw it. Recognition. He knew what was on those films, or he knew what should be on them. Colonel, the CIA man said quietly, we need to verify this immediately. Beck nodded. We will, at the appropriate facility. What facility? I asked. Wrong question. I knew it the moment the words left my mouth. Beck turned on me. That's classified, Sergeant. You're now officially interfering with a priority intelligence operation. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested. The MPs moved closer. I looked at Volkov one more time. He was still watching me. His eyes said something his mouth couldn't. Help me. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Sir, for the record, this man surrendered peacefully. He's cooperating. He deserves to be treated according to Noted, you're dismissed. I left. The door closed behind me. Locked. I stood in the hallway. My hands were shaking. Anger, frustration, something else. Fear, not for me, for Volkov. One of the MPs from earlier was still in the hallway. Corporal Hayes, I knew him from the NCO club. Good kid. Kansas farm boy. Hayes, I said quietly, where are they taking him? Hayes looked uncomfortable. Don't know, Sergeant, above my pay grade. Guess. He shifted his weight, looked down the hallway, back at me. There's a transport helicopter inbound. At to 20 minutes. Flight plans classified, but... He lowered his voice. I heard one of those CIA guys mention Camp Peary. Camp Peary, the farm, CIA training facility in Virginia. Also where they did the kind of interrogations that didn't make it into official reports. Jesus, I breathed. Hayes looked away. I didn't tell you that. Tell me what? He nodded slightly, walked away. I stood there while the pieces fell into place. Volkov was right. They'd use him, extract everything he knew, then he'd disappear. No trial, no publicity, no political complications. Just another casualty of the Cold War that nobody would ever hear about. And his daughter would die in Moscow. The door to interrogation room 3 opened. The 2 CIA men came out carrying the microfilm. They walked past me without a word. Their faces were grim. Whatever was on those films, it was bad. Beck followed them out. He stopped when he saw me still standing there. Vaughn, go write your report, then forget this ever happened. That's an order. Yes, sir. But as he walked away, I heard something. Beck pulled out a radio. Not military issue. Civilian. He spoke into it. Low, but I caught fragments. Confirmed, 3 rolls. Location data matches. Yes, sir. Compensation as agreed. He walked around the corner, out of earshot. But I'd heard enough. Beck was reporting to someone who wasn't military, someone expecting compensation. That was the 3rd wrong note. And suddenly Volkov's paranoia didn't seem so paranoid anymore. 1,800 hours. 6 p.m. darkness came early this far north in October. The snow had stopped, but the temperature was dropping. Clear skies meant a cold night ahead. I sat in my quarters, a small room in the NCO barracks. Bunk, desk, footlocker. Picture of Tony on the desk. He was smiling. Korea hadn't killed him yet in that picture. I'd written the report. 3 pages. Factual. Bloodless. The kind of thing that would get filed and forgotten. Then I'd torn it up. On my desk now, a different piece of paper. A map of Fort Drum. Pencil marks showing the holding cells in the basement. The helicopter pad, guard rotations, weak points. I was planning something that would get me court-martialed at best, executed at worst. There was a knock at my door. I flipped the map over. Come in. Corporal Hayes stepped inside, closed the door. His face was pale. Sergeant, you need to hear this. What? I was on duty, outside interrogation room 3. I heard them talking. Beck and those CIA guys. He swallowed hard. Sergeant, they're not taking him to Camp Peary. They're taking him to an auxiliary airfield, 20 miles north. There's going to be an accident during transport. Helicopter malfunction, no survivors. The intel gets used. The defector disappears, clean. My blood went cold. When Guawas, transport lifts off at 2100 hours, 9 p.m. 3 hours. Did they verify the intel? Was it real? Hayes nodded. I heard them say the microfilm confirmed multiple unknown Soviet positions. It's legitimate, high value. But Beck said, he looked sick. Beck said they can't risk the political fallout if Moscow finds out we have a defector. Better to use the intel and eliminate the source. That's murder. That's classified, Sergeant. Hayes met my eyes. I'm not supposed to know any of this. Neither are you. If we talk, we both go down. Then why tell me? His jaw tightened. Because my dad was at Normandy. He taught me you don't let the brass kill someone who's asking for help. Even if he's Russian. Even if it's complicated. You do the right thing. Good kid. I was going to get him killed. Hayes, forget this conversation. Go back to your post. If anyone asks you, never talk to me. What are you going to do? Something stupid. He stood there for a moment. Then he pulled a key card from his pocket, set it on my desk. This opens the basement access, south entrance, guard changes at 2000 hours. 8 p.m., there's a 15-minute gap when the new shift is getting briefed. I stared at the card. Hayes, I don't know what you're talking about, Sergeant. I just came by to return the card you lent me last week. Remember, I don't... You do now. He moved to the door, stopped. My dad also taught me that sometimes orders are wrong. And when they're wrong, you don't follow them. You follow your conscience. He left. I sat there holding the key card. 15 minutes of access. One Russian defector. 3 hours until a helicopter accident that would never be investigated. I thought about Tony, about carrying Dennis Harwell through Chinese lines, about all the orders I'd followed that turned out to be wrong. Not this time. I grabbed my coat, checked my sidearm, loaded, safety on. I wasn't going to need it. I was absolutely going to need it. But first I needed to understand something. Beck's coded conversation. The civilian radio. Compensation as agreed, Jen. I had 3 hours before the helicopter lifted off. I could use 30 minutes. My uncle had taught me something when I was a kid. He'd worked intelligence during the war. The real war. Before Korea. Before the Cold War turned everything sideways. He'd shown me how to break into places, how to read what people left behind, how to find the truth when everyone was lying. He'd worked at Fort Drum, briefly, in 1958. Then he died. Hunting accident, they said. I'd never questioned it, until now. Beck's office was in the headquarters building, 3rd floor. I knew because I delivered reports there. At 1900 hours, I went back, used Hayes's card to get in the south entrance, took the stairs. The building was mostly empty, skeleton crew for the night shift. Beck's office door was locked. Standard issue, I had pics. Uncle had taught me that too. 2 minutes, I was in. The office was neat, military precise. Desk clear except for a phone and a desk lamp. Filing cabinets along one wall, a safe in the corner. I didn't have time for the safe. But the filing cabinets, I picked the lock on the top drawer. Inside, personnel files, nothing interesting. Second drawer, operations reports, standard stuff. Third drawer, pay stubs, expenses, bank statements. I pulled out the bank statements. Beck made colonel's pay, nothing unusual, except there, a separate account. Deposits, large ones, every 3 months, $10,000 each to time. No source listed. I photographed the statements with a small camera Uncle had given me. Rolled film. Old school, 4th drawer, personal correspondence. I flipped through quickly. Then I found it. A letter, dated 6 months ago, typed. No signature. Colonel Beck, the materials you provided regarding defensive positions have proven valuable. Additional compensation deposited as agreed. Future deliveries should include updated patrol schedules and command rotations. Time-sensitive opportunities approaching. Do not disappoint. My hands went numb. Beck wasn't just covering up a defection. He was selling secrets. Had been for months. Maybe longer. And Volkov's intel would expose him. Because the Soviet positions Volkov photographed were positioned too perfectly. Too strategically. Someone had told them exactly where to put them. Beck, I took photos of the letter. Then I kept searching. In the back of the drawer, another document. Older, yellowed, a casualty report. From 1959. Sergeant Marcus Vaughn, killed in hunting accident. Accidental discharge. No witnesses. Case closed. Marcus Vaughn, my uncle. Not a hunting accident. My vision tunneled. Uncle had worked intelligence. He would have had access to the same files. He would have seen the same patterns. He'd found out about Beck. And Beck had killed him. I photographed everything. My hands were shaking now, anger, cold rage. Then I heard voices in the hallway. I froze. The voices got closer. Just need to grab the briefing notes from Beck's office. Keys jingling. I moved fast. Put everything back, closed the drawer, locked it. The door handle turned. I dove behind the desk, into the knee hole. Barely fit. The door opened. Lights came on. Footsteps. Someone walking to the filing cabinet. Right above me. I held my breath. A drawer opened. Papers rustled. Then closed. Got it. Let's go. The lights went off. Door closed. Locked from outside. I waited. Counted to 100. Then I climbed out. My watch said 19:30. 8:30 p.m. 30 minutes until the helicopter. I left Beck's office. Locked it behind me. Headed for the basement. Now I knew. Beck was a traitor. He'd been selling secrets. He'd killed my uncle for discovering it, and he was going to kill Volkov to cover it up. Not if I had anything to say about it. 1945 hours, 15 minutes before the guard change. I approached the south entrance to headquarters building. The night was brutally cold. Breath froze in the air. Snow crunched underfoot. The guard at the door was Private Morrison, young, maybe 20. He saw me coming and straightened. Evening, Sergeant. Morrison, I need to access basement storage. Equipment inventory for tomorrow's briefing. He looked uncertain. At this hour, I held up the key card, Hayes's card. Last-minute request from Colonel Hastings. You know how it is? Morrison did know. He nodded. Yes, Sergeant. He unlocked the door. I stepped inside. Warm air hit my face. The transition from cold to heat was almost painful. Need me to escort you, Sergeant? Negative. I know the way. Just doing paperwork, boring stuff. Yes, Sergeant. The door closed behind me. I was in. The basement hallway was empty. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Somewhere pipes clanked. The building settling for the night. I walked past supply rooms, storage closets, administrative offices. At the end of the hall, the holding cells. 2 MPs stood guard. I didn't know either of them. That was good. Less chance they'd question me. I walked up confidently, nodded. Evening. Sergeant, the larger one said. His name tag read Wilson. Colonel Beck asked me to verify the prisoner's status before transport. Just need 5 minutes. Wilson looked at his partner. The other MP shrugged. We weren't notified of any check-in, Wilson said carefully. Last minute. You know how it is with intelligence. I kept my voice casual, bored even, just another bureaucratic task. Wilson hesitated. Then he unlocked the cell door. 5 minutes. Appreciated. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me but didn't lock. Yet. Volkov sat on a metal bench. He looked up. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me. I put a finger to my lips. Quiet. Then I moved closer and spoke very softly. They're going to kill you. Tonight. Helicopter accident during transport. You need to trust me. His face didn't change, but something in his eyes did. Why are you helping me? Because it's the right thing to do, and because the man who's going to kill you murdered my uncle 3 years ago for finding out he's a traitor. That got his attention. Beck. Beck, he's been selling secrets to the Soviets. Your intel proves it. The positions you photographed. They're too perfect. Someone told them where to put them. That someone was Beck. Volkov's eyes hardened. Codename Raven. What? In my work, I intercepted transmissions. References to an American source. Codename Raven. High-level access. I was tasked with identifying Raven. I never did. You just did. It's Beck. Can you prove it? I pulled out the camera, tapped it. Photos from his office, bank deposits, letters, evidence. Will it be enough? If we survive long enough to show someone, when I give the signal, you're going to collapse. Seizure, medical emergency. They'll have to call for help. In the confusion we move. Somewhere they won't look, then we figure out the rest. This will destroy you. Yeah, probably. Why? I thought about Tony again. About Uncle Marcus. About all the times I'd followed orders and watched good people die for bad reasons. Because I'm tired of the system killing people to keep itself clean. Your intel is real. Those cities you showed me, millions of lives. That's worth saving. You're worth saving. And Beck needs to pay for what he's done. He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them again, they were wet. I did not think men like you existed anymore. We don't. Not many. That's the problem. Outside footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving fast. Wrong timing. Volkov heard them too. He stood up. They are early again. The cell door opened. But it wasn't the MPs. It was Beck. And behind him, 4 men in tactical gear. Not regular army. These were specialists. Beck looked at me, then at Volkov, then back at me. Sergeant Vaughn, you just made a very serious mistake. My hand moved toward my sidearm. 3 weapons pointed at me before I touched the grip. Don't, Beck said. Hands where I can see them. I raised my hands. Slowly, Beck stepped closer. His face was carved granite. You were warned to stay away from this. You were dismissed. You chose to interfere with a classified operation. That's treason, Sergeant. Killing a defector is murder, sir. Killing my uncle was murder. Beck's face didn't change, but I saw it. A flicker. Recognition. I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus Vaughn, 1959, hunting accident. Except it wasn't. He found out what you were doing, selling secrets. You killed him. Prove it, I smiled. Already did. Photographed your office, bank statements, letters, all of it. Beck's jaw worked. For a moment, I thought he might actually shoot me himself. Instead, he gestured to the tactical team. Secure them both. They're going on the same helicopter. Same accident. Clean. The team moved in. Two grabbed Volkov, two grabbed me. Zip ties on wrists. The plastic cut into skin. They dragged us out of the cell, down the hallway, up the stairs, out into the freezing night. A truck waited, uncovered bed, no markings. They threw us in the back. The tactical team climbed in with us, weapons trained. The truck started moving. Volkov looked at me. His expression was complicated, grateful, sorry, resigned. I am sorry, he said quietly. For what? For believing you could save me. I should not have put that burden on you. Shut up, one of the tactical guys said. We drove in silence. The truck bounced over rough roads. I could feel us heading north, away from the base, toward the auxiliary airfield Hayes had mentioned. 20 miles, maybe 30 minutes. Then a helicopter accident. 2 bodies burned beyond recognition. Classified incident. Nobody would ever know. I tested the zip ties. Tight, professional, no slack. Through the canvas cover, I could see lights passing. We were leaving the base, out into civilian territory. That was something. Harder to control the scene. More witnesses. Maybe. The truck slowed, turned. Gravel crunched under the tires. We were off the main road now. Volkov's breathing changed, faster, shallower. He was scared. So was I. The truck stopped. Engine cut, silence except for wind through the canvas. The tactical team stood, weapons ready. They pulled back the canvas. We were at a small airfield, single runway, 2 buildings, 1 hangar. A helicopter sat on the tarmac rotors already spinning up. Huey, medical markings, ironic. Beck climbed out of the cab. He walked to the back of the truck, looked at us. For the record, he said, "This is nothing personal, Vaughn. You're a good soldier. You just forgot that soldiers follow orders." I didn't forget. I chose not to. Same thing. "No, sir, it's not." He waved a hand. The tactical team dragged us out of the truck. The rotor wash from the helicopter was deafening. Snow swirled in the prop wash. They walked us toward the Huey. 20 feet, 15. My mind raced. No options. Hands bound. 4 armed men. Beck, the pilots. 10 feet. Volkov stumbled. Deliberate. One of the guards caught him. 5 feet. The guard's grip loosened for just a second as he adjusted his hold. Volkov moved, faster than I expected. He drove his head backward into the guard's face. Bone crunched. The man went down. Volkov spun hands still bound and kicked another guard in the knee. The joint bent wrong. The guard screamed and fell. I moved too, shouldered the guard holding me. He wasn't expecting it. We both went down. I rolled using my weight, got my legs around his neck. Squeezed. He choked. Dropped his weapon. Shots. 3 rounds. But not at us. At the helicopter. I looked up. Beck was firing. Not at Volkov. At the Huey. The shots punched through the fuel tank. Fire bloomed. Orange and white. The helicopter erupted. The blast wave hit like a wall. Heat and pressure. I rolled away, ears ringing. Chaos. The tactical team scattered. Beck was shouting orders, but I couldn't hear. Volkov was on his feet. Running, hands still bound, he ran toward the tree line beyond the airfield. I got up, ran after him. Behind us, the helicopter burned. Men yelled, more shots, but we were moving. Into the dark, into the trees, into 72 hours of running. We crashed through underbrush. Branches whipped my face, couldn't see. Couldn't hear anything except my own breathing and the crunch of snow. Behind us, flashlights. Voices. Fan out. North side. Don't let them reach the road. I found Volkov by nearly running into him. He'd stopped behind a thick pine, breathing hard, face cut from branches. Can you get these off? He held up his bound wrists. I turned around, hands behind my back. You first. He understood. He worked at my zip ties with his teeth, pulling, twisting. The plastic cut deeper but started to give. 30 seconds, 40. My hands came free. Blood rushed back. Painful. I grabbed his wrists. The plastic was industrial grade. No easy way. Hold still. I bit down, pulled. The zip tie was slick with blood. His or mine. Didn't matter. It snapped. His hands came free. We both stood there for a second, catching our breath. Behind us, the voices were getting closer. We need to move, I said. Where? Good question. We were 20 miles north of Fort Drum, middle of the Adirondacks, October. Temperature dropping fast. No supplies, no transport, and a tactical team hunting us. There's a cabin, I said, 10 miles west. My uncle's hunting cabin. Might have supplies. They won't know about it. How do you know a family secret? Uncle built it off the books, 1955. Told me about it when I was 12. Made me promise never to tell anyone. Is he the Uncle Beck killed? Yeah. Then it is the perfect place. The dead keep the best secrets. We moved, heading west, deeper into the mountains. The flashlights behind us swept back and forth, but they were checking the obvious roads, trails. We went straight through the woods. 30 minutes of hiking. My feet were numb. Volkov was limping. His dress shoes were destroyed. We stopped at a frozen stream. I broke through the ice. Drank. The water was so cold it hurt. Volkov drank too. Then he sat down heavily. I cannot walk much further. My feet. I knelt down, looked at his shoes. They were falling apart. His socks were soaked through with blood and snow. Frostbite. Maybe already setting in. We need to get you warm and dry. The cabin's 3 miles. Can you make it? I will have to. I helped him up. We kept moving, slower now. Every step was agony for him. I could tell by the way his breathing changed. Short, controlled, managing pain. We climbed a ridge. At the top, I looked back. Lights in the distance. The burning helicopter was still visible. An orange glow against the dark. But no lights following us directly. Not yet. They were searching, but they didn't know where we'd gone. Small victory. We descended the other side. The terrain got rougher. Rocks, ice, fallen trees. In the dark, it was treacherous. Volkov fell. I caught him. He got back up, kept moving. The man had training. You could see it. How he managed pain. How he kept moving when most people would have given up. Another hour. The moon rose. Quarter moon, just enough light to see by. Then I saw it. A small structure, half buried in snow. Dark. The cabin. We approached carefully. Could be occupied. Could be a trap. But the door was locked with ice. Nobody had been here in years. I broke the lock. We stumbled inside. The cabin was one room. Small, but it had a fireplace. A stack of wood. Some canned goods on a shelf. And in the corner, covered with a tarp, Uncle's emergency cache. I pulled off the tarp, inside a military footlocker. Locked. But I knew the combination. Uncle's birthday backward. 4321. It opened. Inside first aid kit. Blankets, MRES, water purification tablets, a .45 pistol with 3 magazines, and at the bottom wrapped in oilcloth documents. I set those aside for later. First the fire. I got it going. The wood was dry. Good. It caught quickly. Light filled the room. Heat followed. Volkov collapsed near the fire. I pulled off his shoes. His feet were bad. Blisters, cuts, the beginning of frostbite on 2 toes. You need medical attention. I need to survive the next 70 hours first. Then we worry about toes. Fair point. I found blankets in the footlocker. Wool. Old but functional. I wrapped them around him. Then I checked the first aid supplies. Bandages, antiseptic, aspirin, morphine syrettes. I cleaned Volkov's feet. He didn't make a sound. Just gripped the blanket and endured. When I finished, I sat back. The fire crackled. Outside, wind howled through the trees. We were fugitives now. Both of us. Hunted by the Soviet Union in the United States. Volkov looked at me across the fire. Thank you, he said. We're not safe yet. No, but you tried. That matters. I poked at the fire. Tell me about your daughter, Katya. His face changed, softened. She is 8. She loves books. She wants to be a doctor, like her mother was. Before what? Before the state decided my wife was too educated, too Western. They sent her to a work camp. She died there. Pneumonia, no medical care. Katya asks about her every day. Jesus, I'm sorry. Do not be sorry. Be successful. Get us out of this. Get Katya to America. That is how you honor my wife's memory. The weight of that settled on my shoulders. One 8-year-old girl in Moscow, dying of leukemia. And I was supposed to get her father to safety so he could bring her to America for treatment. No pressure. Why the 72-hour deadline, I asked. Specifically. He pulled the blanket tighter. I was injected, before I defected. Radioactive isotope. Tracer. After 72 hours, it degrades enough that tracking becomes impossible. Before then, they can find me anywhere within 50 miles. They have equipment, Geiger counters, modified for this specific isotope. You're radioactive. Mildly not dangerous to you, but enough for them to track. Jesus Christ, you walked around a military base with a radioactive tracer in you. I had no choice. It was how they ensured loyalty. All field agents get it. Weekly injections. Miss an injection, you become trackable. Miss two, you become a liability. So they know exactly where you are. Within a radius, yes, which is why I needed to make contact quickly. Why I needed someone who would help me. Why I needed you. The fire popped. Sparks flew up the chimney. How long until they find us here? He closed his eyes, calculating. They will search the crash site first, confirm we are not there. That will take hours. Then they will expand the search. By dawn, they will have narrowed the radius. By tomorrow evening, they will be close. About 48 hours left. And Beck will coordinate with them. He cannot let us survive. We know too much about his operation, about the corruption. He will tell the KGB we are heading for Canada, toward the border. That is where they will concentrate forces. But we're not heading for Canada. No. Where are we heading? Volkov opened his eyes. You tell me, Sergeant, this is your country. Where can two fugitives hide for 48 hours while being hunted by two superpowers? I thought about it. We couldn't go to towns, couldn't use roads, couldn't contact authorities because Beck had probably already sent out alerts. Deserter, armed and dangerous. Then I remembered the documents in Uncle's footlocker. I unwrapped the oilcloth. Inside were maps, intelligence reports, classified documents from the 50s, and a handwritten note, Uncle's handwriting. Dom, if you're reading this, I'm dead. And it probably wasn't an accident. There's a bunker, 20 miles north, old civil defense installation, built 54, decommissioned 58. Nobody knows about it except me and the crew that built it. Coordinates 44.2, 156 degrees, north 75.4892 degrees west. Supplies inside. Weapons, radio equipment. Use it if you need to. Trust your gut. Don't trust the brass. Love, Uncle Marcus. My hands shook. Uncle had known he was in danger, known he might be killed, and he'd left me a way out. There's a place, I said slowly, 20 miles north, old civil defense bunker, decommissioned, but it might still have supplies, and it's underground. They won't find us there. My uncle, he left me the coordinates. Can we make it 20 miles? I looked at Volkov's feet. We'll have to. We rested for 3 hours, ate the MRS, cold, no time to heat them. We needed to move before dawn. At 0400 we left. The fire died behind us. Snow began to fall, light at first, then heavier. Good. It would cover our tracks. We walked through the pre-dawn dark. Volkov limped but kept pace. I'd wrapped his feet in extra cloth. Makeshift boots. Not great, but better than nothing. I carried the .45. Uncle's gun. It felt right, like he was with us. As we climbed higher into the mountains, I thought about what we were doing, running from the U.S. military, from the KGB, from everyone. All to save one Russian defector and expose one American traitor. It was insane. It was impossible. It was the right thing to do, and I was going to see it through, even if it killed me. Dawn came slow and gray, the kind of morning that never really gets light, just trades black for charcoal. We'd been walking for 6 hours, 20 miles through wilderness in October. My legs were numb. Volkov was worse. He hadn't complained once. That's how I knew he was dying. We stopped at a ridge overlooking a valley. Below, through the snow and mist, I could see it. A concrete structure, half buried, camouflaged with decades of growth. The bunker. There, I said. Volkov looked. He swayed on his feet. I caught him. How much further? 2 miles. Downhill. Can you make it? He didn't answer, just started walking. The descent was treacherous. Ice under fresh snow, rocks hidden beneath white. We fell twice. Got up. Kept moving. The sun was fully up by the time we reached the bunker entrance. Not that you could tell. The sky was solid gray, more snow coming. The entrance was a steel door set into a concrete frame, rust bleeding through old paint. A faded civil defense symbol, yellow and black. Radiation warning. I tried the handle. Locked. Stand back. I kicked it. Once. Twice. The lock was old. Corroded. On the third kick, something gave. The door swung inward. Darkness beyond. A smell rolled out. Stale air. Mildew. Decades of abandonment. We went inside. I had Uncle's lighter. Flicked it. The flame revealed a concrete corridor, 10 feet long, another door at the end. This one wasn't locked. It opened with a groan of metal on metal. Beyond was the shelter proper. One large room, maybe 30 by 40 feet. Low ceiling, concrete walls. Along one wall, metal shelves with supplies. Along another, bunk beds, rusted but intact. In the center, a table, chairs, a radio that probably didn't work. But in the corner, miracle of miracles, a kerosene heater, and beside it, 2 full jerry cans. "We have heat," I said. Volkov collapsed onto one of the bunks. The frame groaned but held. I got the heater working. It took 20 minutes. My hands were shaking from cold. But eventually it caught. Warmth began to spread. I checked the supplies. Canned goods. Dates from 1958. Probably still edible. Probably. Water in jerry cans. Frozen solid. I set them near the heater to thaw. Medical supplies. Bandages. Aspirin. Iodine. Ancient but better than nothing. And in a locked cabinet, I had to break open something unexpected. Weapons. 2 M1 carbines. A .45 pistol. Ammunition for both. Still good. Sealed in cosmoline. "Your uncle planned for everything," Volkov said from the bunk. "He was in the war. The real war. He knew what scared looked like." I cleaned one of the carbines. The oil was thick, but the mechanism was sound. I loaded it, set it within reach. Then I checked Volkov's feet. The frostbite was worse. 2 toes on his left foot were black. "We need to get you to a hospital. In 48 hours, after the isotope degrades." "You might not have 48 hours. This is serious." He looked at his feet. No expression. "I have lived with worse. In the gulag, we lost toes to cold every winter. If you still had 8, you were lucky. You were in the gulag." My father, 1937. Enemy of the people. I was 6. We survived 3 years. He did not. I learned that you can lose pieces of yourself and still live. Toes, fingers, hope. You live anyway. The heater hissed. The room warmed slowly. "Sleep," I said. "I'll keep watch." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." He closed his eyes. Within minutes, his breathing changed. Deep, regular, exhausted sleep. I sat at the table, carbine across my lap, and I thought about what we'd done. Assaulting military personnel. Fleeing custody. Every hour added years to a court-martial sentence. If we lived long enough for a trial. More likely Beck would arrange another accident. Cleaner this time, unless we could get the truth out, somehow. I pulled out the camera. The photos I'd taken from Beck's office. Evidence of treason, bank deposits, letters, but no way to develop them. No way to transmit them. Then I noticed something else in Uncle's cabinet, in the back. A portable radio transmitter. Old. Probably didn't work, but maybe. I pulled it out, checked the components. Vacuum tubes. Some were cracked, but some were intact. If I could get this working, if I could transmit, who would I even call? Then I remembered. Hayes. Corporal Hayes. He had a personal radio frequency. All the MPs did. For emergencies. If he was still alive. If he hadn't been arrested. If he was still willing to help. A lot of ifs. I spent the next 3 hours trying to fix the radio. Replacing tubes. Soldering connections. It was delicate work, and I wasn't an expert. But Uncle had taught me basics. And I was motivated. At noon, I got it working. Static, but working. I dialed Hayes' emergency frequency. Transmitted. "Hayes, this is Vaughn. If you're reading me, respond. Over." Static. Nothing. I tried again. "Hayes, Vaughn, emergency frequency. Respond if you can hear me. Over." More static. Then, "Vaughn, is that really you?" Relief flooded through me. "Hayes, yeah, it's me. You okay?" "Am I okay?" "Jesus, Vaughn, the whole base is looking for you. They're saying you killed 2 guards, kidnapped the defector. Beck's got everyone convinced you snapped." "I didn't kill anyone. Beck's people tried to kill us. We escaped." Hayes listened carefully. "Beck is a traitor. He's been selling secrets to the Soviets. I have proof. Photos from his office." Silence. Then, that's insane. "I know how it sounds, but it's true. My uncle found out. That's why Beck killed him. Made it look like a hunting accident. Vaughn, if you're wrong about this." "I'm not wrong. The defector Volkov. He has intel. Soviet communications. References to an American source. Codename Raven. That's Beck. The intel proves it." Hayes was quiet for a long moment. "What do you need?" "We need to decrypt the Soviet transmissions, show the pattern, prove Beck's the source. But we don't have the equipment. Or the time. The KGB's hunting us. And Beck." Where are you? I gave him the coordinates. Old bunker, 20 miles north of base. We'll be here for the next 36 hours. After that, Volkov's untraceable. But we need your help before then. What kind of help? Crypto equipment. Portable unit. Can you get it? Another pause. There's a mobile crypto unit for field operations. It's in the motor pool. Maybe I could check it out. Say it's for maintenance. Can you bring it here? Vaughn, if I get caught, you'll hang with me, I know. But Hayes, if we don't stop Beck, he'll keep selling secrets. American lives will be lost, and Volkov dies for nothing. When do you need it? Tonight, 2200 hours. 10 p.m. There's a clearing half a mile south of the bunker. I'll meet you there. I'll try. Hayes, don't try, do it. Or tell me now you can't. He took a breath. I'll be there. Thank you. Vaughn, are you okay, really? I looked at Volkov sleeping on the bunk, at the carbine in my lap, at the concrete walls of a bunker built for the apocalypse. No, I said honestly, but I will be when this is over. Stay safe. You too. The radio went dead. I sat back. 36 hours until Volkov was untraceable. If Hayes came through, if we could decrypt the transmissions, if we could prove Beck's treason, a lot of ifs. But it was a chance. Volkov woke at 1500 hours, 3 p.m. He'd slept for 6 hours. His feet were swollen. The bandages needed changing. I redressed them. The frostbite was progressing, but slower than I'd feared. The warmth was helping. How are you feeling? I asked. Like I lost a fight with a bear, but alone. That's something. I told him about the radio, about Hayes, about the plan. He listened without interrupting. Then he reached into his jacket. From an inner pocket, he pulled out another small cylinder, smaller than the first. Insurance, he said. Communications intercepts, Soviet transmission logs, coded references to an American source, codename Raven. I was tasked with identifying Raven. I never did. But the pattern of information Raven provided matches Beck's access level exactly. Will that hold up as evidence? If we can decrypt the transmissions, show the pattern, prove the timing, yes. Can you decrypt them? Given time and equipment, which Hayes is bringing. If he comes, he will come. Men like him, men like you keep promises. I wasn't so sure, but I wanted to believe it. We spent the afternoon preparing. I cleaned all the weapons, made sure everything was operational. Volkov reviewed his intel, going over the codes, the patterns. At 2100 hours, I left. Volkov stayed at the bunker. Too risky to move him. If I'm not back in 2 hours, I said, assume I'm compromised. Wait until the isotope degrades, then head for the Canadian border. I will not leave without you. You will if you want Katya to live. He didn't argue. He knew I was right. I took the carbine and headed out. The night was clear, stars bright, temperature below zero. The clearing was half a mile south. I approached carefully, watching for ambush. But when I arrived, I saw headlights. A Jeep, engine running. Hayes stepped out, alone. He looked around nervously. I emerged from the trees. You came. He jumped, then relaxed when he saw me. Jesus, Vaughn, you look like hell. Feel worse. You bring the equipment. He gestured to the Jeep. In the back, crypto unit, portable generator, everything you need. But Vaughn, we've got a problem. What kind of problem? KGB team, 4 men. They crossed the border this afternoon. Canadian Customs spotted them, but couldn't stop them. They're in the area, hunting Volkov. They have tracking equipment. The isotope. Yeah, and they're not the only ones. Beck mobilized a search team. MPs, base security. They're sweeping the area, grid pattern. How close a 10-mile radius? And shrinking. You've got maybe 8 hours before they're on top of you. 8 hours. Less than I'd hoped. Then we work fast. Help me get this stuff to the bunker. We loaded the equipment onto a sled Hayes had brought, pulled it through the snow. It took 30 minutes to reach the bunker. Inside, Volkov was waiting. He looked at Hayes, then at the equipment. You are the corporal. The one who helped. Hayes nodded. Corporal James Hayes, Kansas. Alexei Volkov, Moscow, thank you for coming. Don't thank me yet. We're not out of this. Volkov went to work immediately, setting up the crypto unit, connecting it to the generator. His fingers moved across the keyboard. Fast, efficient. Hayes and I kept watch, alternating. One at the door, one monitoring the radio. An hour passed. 2. At midnight, Volkov spoke. I have something. We gathered around the screen. This, he said, pointing. Transmission from 6 months ago. Soviet command to field agents. It references coordinates for a supply drop. So, so the coordinates are inside Fort Drum, inside the secure zone. Only someone with high-level access would know these coordinates. Beck. Not just Beck. He scrolled through more data. Here and here. Multiple transmissions. All with information that could only come from inside American intelligence. Troop movements. Patrol schedules. Defensive positions. Can you prove it's Beck? Not directly, but I can show timing. Every transmission correlates with Beck's duty schedule. When he was on base. When he had access. The pattern is unmistakable. He pulled up another screen. And this, most damning, transmission from 3 months ago. Discussion of American defensive vulnerabilities. Specific references to Fort Drum's eastern perimeter. The exact sector Beck was responsible for assessing. That's it, I said. That proves he's Raven. It proves someone at Fort Drum with Beck's access level is Raven. In court, his lawyer could argue coincidence. But combined with your photographs, the bank deposits, the letters, it becomes overwhelming. Hayes looked at the data. This is real. This is Jesus. This goes to the Joint Chiefs now. How? I asked. We're fugitives. Who's going to believe us? Hayes pulled out his radio. My CO, Colonel Marsh, he's clean. I'd bet my life on it. You are betting your life on it. Then I better be right. He keyed the radio. This is Corporal Hayes, emergency priority. I need to speak with Colonel Marsh immediately. Static, then a voice. Hayes, where the hell are you? You're listed as a WOL. I'm with Sergeant Vaughn. And I need Colonel Marsh. Now, it's about Beck, and it's urgent. A pause. Stand by, okay. 30 seconds, then a new voice. Older, authoritative. Hayes, this is Marsh. Explain. Hayes did. All of it. Volkov. The defection, Beck's treason, the evidence. Marsh listened without interrupting. Then, you understand what you're saying? You're accusing a full colonel of treason. Yes, sir, and we have proof. Soviet transmissions, bank records, pattern analysis, all pointing to Beck as the source. Can you transmit the data? Yes, sir, encrypted. Right now. Do it. I'll review it. If it's what you say it is, I'll forward it to the Pentagon. But Hayes, if you're wrong, we're not wrong, sir. Then send it. Volkov encrypted the files. Hayes transmitted them, direct to Marsh's personal terminal. We waited. Longest 10 minutes of my life. Then Marsh's voice came back. Holy Mother of God. Hayes, this is real. I'm forwarding to the Pentagon. Immediate. Stay where you are. Process en route to your location. Do not let Beck move. He's under arrest. Hayes looked at me. We did it. But I was listening to something else, outside. Engines, multiple. Getting closer. Someone's coming, I said. We moved to the door, looked out. Headlights, through the trees coming from the east. Not American vehicles. These were different. Soviet. KGB, Volkov said. His face went pale. They found us. Hayes grabbed his rifle. How many? 4-man team, at least. Spetsnaz operators. They will not take prisoners. Then neither do we. I handed Volkov a carbine. Can you shoot? With 2 bad feet, not well, but I will try. The vehicle stopped. Half a mile out of direct sight, but close. They were coming on foot. The smart way. We need to leave, I said. Now, this bunker's a death trap if they surround us. Where do we go? Hayes asked. North. There's high ground, defensible position. We make our stand there. We grab what we could, weapons, ammunition, the encrypted files on a portable drive. Then we ran, out the back entrance, into the dark, toward the high ground. Behind us, the KGB team reached the bunker. I heard Russian. Commands, angry. They'd found it empty, but they'd also found our tracks in the snow. They'd follow. We climbed up a rocky slope to a ridge overlooking the valley. There, an old fire tower, wooden, 50 feet high. Up, I said. We defend from above. We climbed. The stairs were treacherous, but we made it. At the top, we had a view of everything. The bunker below, the forest, the vehicles in the distance, and the KGB team, 4 men, moving toward us, professional. Disciplined, closing in. Hayes set up the radio, transmitted to Marsh. We're under attack. KGB team, need immediate extraction. Marsh's voice urgent. Location? Hayes gave coordinates. Extraction team inbound. ET 30 minutes. Hold position. 30 minutes. We just had to survive 30 minutes. The KGB team reached the base of the tower, looked up. One of them called out. In English, accented but clear. Major Volkov, you are surrounded. Surrender. You will not be harmed. Volkov laughed, bitter. They lie. I would be dead before we reached Moscow. Your choice. Come down, or we come up. I answered, come up, see what happens. Silence, then gunfire. Automatic, sustained. The tower shook, wood splintered. We returned fire, controlled bursts, conserving ammunition. One KGB operative went down. The others took cover. A standoff. They couldn't reach us. We couldn't leave. For now, that was enough. 20 minutes of firefight. The KGB team was pinned. We had the high ground, but they had numbers and patience. Then I heard it, in the distance. Helicopter, American Huey, coming in fast. The KGB team heard it too. They pulled back, into the trees, regrouping. The Huey landed in the clearing. MPS poured out. 20 men, tactical gear. They moved toward the fire tower, covering. Friendlies, Hayes called out. We're coming down. We descended. The MPS surrounded us. Weapons ready but not aimed. Colonel Marsh stepped out of the helicopter. He looked at me, at Volkov, at Hayes. Someone want to explain what the hell happened here? Hayes did, while medics checked Volkov, while MPs secured the perimeter. Marsh listened. His face was stone. When Hayes finished, Marsh looked at me. Vaughn, you're a hell of a problem. Yes, sir. You assaulted military personnel, fled custody, and interfered with a classified operation. By all rights, I should have you arrested. Yes, sir. But you also exposed a traitor, saved a defector with actionable intelligence, and prevented a catastrophic security breach. He paused. The paperwork on this is going to be a nightmare. Sorry, sir. No, you're not. He almost smiled. Neither would I be. Get yourselves on the helicopter. We're extracting to Fort Drum. Then you'll give full depositions. What about Beck? I asked. MPs are arresting him as we speak. He's done. And the KGB team? They fled when we arrived. Crossed back into Canada. We're coordinating with Canadian authorities, but they're gone. We loaded onto the Huey. As we lifted off, I looked down. At the bunker, at the fire tower, at the forest where we'd fought. It was over, or so I thought. 3 weeks later, military hospital, Fort Drum. I'd been cleared, medically and legally. The investigation concluded that I'd acted to prevent the murder of a defector and to expose a traitor. All charges dropped. Hayes got a commendation. For bravery, for integrity, for doing the right thing when it mattered. Volkov was in a room down the hall, recovering from surgery. They'd saved most of his toes. 2 were gone, but he could walk. And Katya, they were bringing her. Medical visa, full diplomatic approval. She'd get treatment at Walter Reed, the best care in the world. Beck was in military prison, awaiting trial, but he'd started talking, giving up names, contacts. The conspiracy ran deeper than any of us had imagined. But that was someone else's fight now. I was done. They were giving me an honorable discharge. Medical. The shoulder wound had healed, but I'd served my time, done my part. Civilian life was waiting. I was in my room, packing, when there was a knock. Come in. Volkov entered, on crutches. His feet were bandaged, but he was smiling. They told me you are leaving, he said. Yeah, time to go. I wanted to thank you, properly. The Army is granting me asylum, full citizenship process. And Katya, his voice broke. She arrives tomorrow. Medical transport. She will be here. With me. That's good. That's really good. Because of you, all of it. You risked everything. For a stranger. For an enemy. For a man asking for help, there's a difference, he nodded. In my culture, we have a saying, a life debt can never be repaid, only honored. I will honor this, always. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was strong. What will you do, he asked. After, I don't know, figure it out as I go. If you ever need anything, anything at all, you call me. Promise. I promise. He turned to leave. Stopped. One more thing. Your uncle, Marcus. I read his file. In the documents you found. He was a good man. Honorable. Like you. Thanks. He would be proud of what you did, of who you are. After he left, I sat on the bed, looking at Tony's picture, at Uncle Marcus's dog tags. They would be proud. I hoped. I finished packing, walked out of the hospital into the cold October air. It felt like freedom, but the story wasn't over. Not really. 3 months became 6 months. Investigations, depositions, Beck's trial, the conspiracy unraveled. Slowly, painfully. Beck had been selling secrets for 5 years. Since 1957, he'd made over $200,000. But worse, he'd gotten people killed. American soldiers, Allied operatives. Their deaths blamed on bad luck, bad intel. It was all Beck. And he wasn't alone. There were others. In the Pentagon, in Congress, in places we'd never fully exposed, but Beck was the thread. And pulling that thread unraveled enough to matter. 18 people were arrested. 10 went to trial. 7 were convicted. It wasn't perfect, but it was justice of a sort. 6 months became a year. A year became 3. I lived quietly. Upstate New York. Small town, worked construction. Fixed things, lived simple. But I kept in touch with Hayes, with Volkov. Hayes made sergeant, then staff sergeant. He stayed in, made a career of it. Volkov became a citizen, got a job, teaching Russian history at a community college. And Katya, she survived. The treatment worked. She went into remission. They sent me pictures every few months. Katya growing up, healthy, strong. It made it all worth it. 3 years became 10. 10 became 20. I aged, got gray, got quiet. But I never forgot. 30 years later, October 1992, I stood at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Washington, D.C. gray. October morning, just like the one 30 years ago. I was 62 now, retired, living in upstate New York. Quiet life. But I came here every year to remember, to honor. Hayes's name wasn't on the wall. He'd survived everything. Retired as sergeant major. Died last year, heart attack. Peaceful. But he'd wanted his ashes scattered here, among the names of men he'd served with. I'd done it a week ago. Now I was just here, remembering. A voice behind me, accented, familiar. I thought I might find you here. I turned. Alexei Volkov, older, gray hair, but healthy. Sim. Alexei, it's been too long. 5 years, you don't return calls. I'm old, I forget. You're stubborn, you avoid. He was right. We stood together, looking at the wall. How's Katya? I asked. Dr. Katya Volkov, oncologist, Johns Hopkins. She saves lives, many lives. That's wonderful. Because of you. Because you saved me. I saved her. She saves others. It ripples. Forever. A woman approached, late 30s, dark hair, Volkov's eyes. Dad, you didn't tell me you were meeting someone. Katya, this is Dominic Vaughn, the man I told you about. Her eyes widened. She looked at me, really looked. The sergeant from the story. That's me. She hugged me, fierce, sudden. Thank you for my life, for my father, for everything. I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged back. When she stepped away, there were tears in her eyes. I brought my children to see the memorial, to teach them about sacrifice, about honor, about men like you. 2 kids, maybe 8 and 10, stood nearby, watching. This is because of you, Katya said. My life, my children, the thousands of patients I've treated, all of it traces back to October 1962, to 72 hours when you chose the right thing over the easy thing. Volkov stepped forward. Dominic, do you know how many lives Katya has saved as a doctor? No. 2,347 cancer patients, many of them children. She keeps count. I keep count, Katya said, because I want to know how much good came from one choice, from one man's courage. I felt it then, the weight, but not heavy, not crushing. It was the weight of meaning, of purpose, of a life that mattered. And those patients, Volkov continued, they have families, children, grandchildren. We calculated once the number of lives that exist because you saved mine. He pulled out a piece of paper, unfolded it. Katya's patients, 2,347. Their children, 4,112. Their grandchildren, born or expected, 6,839. Total, 13,298 lives. I stared at the number, 13,000, because of 72 hours, because I didn't walk away. That does not count, Volkov said softly, the nuclear war we helped prevent. Beck's intelligence, the Soviet positions. Your Pentagon used that data to negotiate, to de-escalate. How many millions lived because of that? We will never know. But the answer is not zero. Katya took my hand. My father tells the story to my children, to his students, about the American sergeant who risked everything for a Soviet spy, because it was right. They need to hear that, to know that honor still exists. One of the kids, the older one, a boy, stepped forward. Mr. Vaughn, Grandpa says you're a hero. I looked at him. Your grandpa's the hero. I just did what needed doing. That's what heroes do, the boy said simply. Volkov smiled. You still deflect, after 30 years. Some things don't change. We stood there. 4 generations. American and Russian, bound by a choice made in a forest 3 decades ago. Volkov looked at me, and he asked the question, the one that had echoed through our entire ordeal. You good? I looked at the wall, at the names, at Katya and her children, at the life that had grown from 3 days of running, at 13,298 lives, all because I chose to help one man who asked. Yeah, I said, because of you, Alexei, because of all of you, I'm good. He put his hand on my shoulder. No, my friend, because of you, 13,298 of us are good, and we will never forget. We stayed until noon, talking, remembering. The kids asked questions about the bunkers, the chase, the fire tower. I told them. All of it, the truth, the fear, the doubt, the choices. Were you scared? The girl asked. Every minute, I said. But scared doesn't mean you stop. It means you keep going anyway. Grandpa says that too. Your grandpa's a smart man. When it was time to leave, Katya hugged me again. Will you come to dinner, meet more of the family? Please. I don't know if, please let us honor you the way you should have been honored 30 years ago. I looked at Volkov. He nodded. You are family, Dominic. You always have been. Family. I'd lost Tony, lost Uncle Marcus, lost Hayes. But I'd gained this, a connection that spanned decades, generations, cultures. Okay, I said, dinner. I'd like that. As we walked away from the memorial, the boy took my hand, just held it. Mr. Vaughn, when I grow up, I want to be like you. Kid, be better than me, be smarter, be kinder, but keep the part about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I will. That night, dinner with the Volkov family, not just Katya and her kids, the whole family, 23 people, 3 generations, all connected to that October in '62. Doctors, teachers, engineers, students, all living lives that wouldn't exist if one man had bled out in a Moscow clinic. They made a toast to Hayes, to Uncle Marcus, to everyone who'd played a part, and to me, to Dominic Vaughn, the man who taught us that honor isn't dead. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to live it. I raised my glass to the ones who didn't make it home. They're the real heroes. No, Volkov said. They are the fallen heroes. You are the living one, and your life, your choice, echoes through all of us, forever. But there was one more thing, something I hadn't known. After dinner, Katya pulled me aside. There's someone who wants to meet you, someone special, she led me to a corner of the room. A woman, maybe 60, elegant, professional. Mr. Vaughn, I'm Senator Patricia Hartman, Connecticut. I recognized the name. Rising star in politics. Moderate. Respected. Senator, pleasure. The pleasure is mine. You don't know me, but I know you because 30 years ago you saved my life. I blinked. I'm sorry, she smiled. 1962, I was 16, leukemia, dying. Dr. Sarah Mitchell treated me. Experimental therapy. I survived. Dr. Mitchell is retired now, but she trained under Dr. James Reeves, who learned the treatment protocol from Dr. Katya Volkov. My mouth went dry. You're one of the 13,000. Number 472, if we're counting, and I count. Because I'm alive to count. Because you saved Major Volkov 30 years ago. She extended her hand. I've spent the last 20 years in public service, trying to honor the gift you gave me, the gift of life. I pushed for the asylum approval, for Katya, for other medical refugees, because I know what it's like. To be dying, to need help, to have someone say yes. I didn't know. You couldn't have, but now you do. And I wanted to say thank you, not just for me, but for everyone your choice has touched. I shook her hand, speechless. Volkov had said it, the ripples, forever. I hadn't understood, not really, but now I did, later, walking back to my hotel alone. I stopped, looked up at the stars. Same stars that shone over that forest 30 years ago. I thought about Tony, about the Pentagon office where they told me to let it go. I'd spent years angry, about the system, about the lies, about the cost, but tonight, looking at Katya's family, at Senator Hartman, at the life that bloomed from one choice, I understood. You can't fight the whole system, but you can fight for one person. One truth, one stand, and if you're lucky, if you're blessed, that one stand ripples out, touches lives, changes futures, creates legacies. 13,298 lives, all because I didn't walk away. All because I chose to believe that one Soviet spy asking for help was worth risking everything. And he was. God, he was. The next morning, I woke to a phone call. Dominic, it's Alexei. Everything okay? Yes, but I wanted to ask, would you come to New York next month? Katya is receiving an award, Physician of the Year. She wants you there. I'm not family, that's her moment. You are family, and it is our moment. All of us, please. I thought about staying in my quiet life, about avoiding the spotlight. Then I thought about Hayes, about his sacrifice, about what he would have wanted. Okay, I said, I'll be there. Thank you, my friend. Alexei, one question. Yes. Are you good? Really, after everything, after 30 years, are you good? He was quiet for a moment. Then I am alive. My daughter is alive. My grandchildren exist. I live in a free country. I sleep without nightmares. I teach young people about truth and honor. Yes, Dominic, I am very good. And you? I looked out the window. I looked out at the morning sun rising over Washington, at a world that was still broken, still flawed, still fighting, but a world where 13,298 people lived because two men chose honor over orders. Yeah, I said, I'm good. Then we won. Yeah, we won. I hung up, sat there for a while, thinking about the case Hayes, my career, Uncle Marcus, the years of questions, and thinking about the gain. 13,000 lives, 4 generations. A legacy of doing the right thing. Was it worth it every single day? I got dressed, packed my bag, headed home, to upstate New York, to the mountains where it all happened. I still live there, in a cabin, not far from where the bunkers had been. Sometimes I hiked out there, to the ruins, to remember, to honor the men who didn't make it and the ones who did, to remind myself that the right thing is still worth doing, even when it costs everything, especially when it costs everything. That's what Hayes understood, what Volkov understood, what Uncle Marcus must have understood. The system will protect itself. The powerful will cover up. The truth will be buried. But if enough people choose honor, choose courage, choose to stand, then maybe, just maybe, the truth gets out anyway, and lives are saved. 13,298 of them, because of 72 hours in October 1962. Because one sergeant chose to help one Soviet spy. Because sometimes the right thing and the legal thing aren't the same. And when they're not, you follow your conscience, not your orders. I'd do it all again, every single minute, because some things are worth more than orders. Some people are worth more than protocol, and some choices echo forever. You good? Yeah, because of all of you, I'm good.